Hello everybody and welcome to the Accountants Club podcast. I'm your host, Paul Redmond, an accountant like yourselves, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that helps you build your practice, it helps you build all your services, and it's the power of strategic partnerships. And really, I suppose in the landscape as we all know it, the evolving landscape as we all know it, and everybody is talking about building an advisory practice. And it doesn't just mean adding new services, it means creating a network of expertise. So just pause on that one for a second, creating a network of expertise. So imagine offering your clients every service that they need, from financial planning to IT support, without hiring a full team. How could you do this? And why would you do this? And do you really want to do this? And the answer is you do this through strategic partnerships and through the model of strategic partnerships. So what we're going to do today is we're going to outline what a strategic partnership is. We're going to say why they're critical for modern advisory practices and how partnerships can allow accountants to expand service offerings, reduce their own workload, but enhance the client satisfaction. Remember, the client is at the center of everything we do. And when we put the client at the center of everything we do, that is what true advisory really is. So for me, when I decided that I wanted to grow my own firm, and when I wanted to grow my own firm, I realized that I can't be all things to all people, but I can be all things to one person, and that's the client. And I can stand right beside the client, and I can anticipate the moves that the client is going to have to make in their own business and help them on that journey. And by helping them on the journey and by doing things for them on their journey that's relatable to what we do, I can actually build that trusted advisor position that I like to have with my clients. And also, it's not just that I like to have it, my clients also like to have it. They like to know that they're building a team of experts around them that can help them achieve whatever they want to do. So I suppose really, what's the first thing to talk about? What is a strategic partnership? And when I'm talking today about strategic partnerships, I'm just talking about strategic partnerships that we can actually use that are external to the products and services that we do in the business and that are relatable to the services that clients want. So I'm talking about things like creating partnerships with legal firms, creating partnerships with financial management, risk management, insurance brokers, IT consultants, lawyers, financial advisors, anything that we need that we think can help our client services. What we're not talking about today, and we definitely will talk about into the future, is the power of strategic partnerships internal. And that is a really, really, really good one for us to do. And when we're talking about the likes of automation within our practices, building strategic partnerships with providers like that or software providers, that is a really, really powerful one today. But today we're focusing on external partnerships. So what's the big fear for people with strategic partnerships? Why are accountants afraid of strategic partners? The first thing we find is the fear is there because the number one fear that accountants have is the loss of the relationship with the client, because the strategic partner is more vocal or the strategic partner is more expert in a particular area that the client is particularly looking for at this particular time, right? There's a lot of particulars there. So you could have a client that has a specific issue, maybe a tax issue, that you need expert advice on, and the client is looking to get that and they think that you can provide that, and they go to this tax advisor and the tax advisor is really, really good at this particular thing, and then they start saying, well, if my accountant can't do it and the tax advisor does this and they do other things, maybe I should be talking to the tax advisor because they know more than my accountant does. And that's the biggest fear that people have. The same with financial advisors, the same with wealth management advisors, the same with corporate lending. And so there's a way to protect against all of that. But that is a big, big worry for accountants in practice. Where do they sit? That's the first worry. The second worry is regulatory compliance. We're not offering these services. The strategic partnership is offering these services. And having these services set up properly from a compliance perspective is really, really important. And for our client to understand what we do and where we sit in the relationships. We do all of this with letters of engagement, and we're well used to letters of engagement. And our letter of engagement will lay out what we do and what our responsibilities are, what we can do and what we can't do. But we can have a conversation with our client, with somebody about a relationship with an IT provider, with an IT consultant, with a wealth management firm. We're not offering the service, but we're managing the relationship with the client and that person. That's the critical point of all of this. Who manages the relationship? Now, in certain instances, there may be referral commission back to you. And what I will say always, explain to the client that you're getting paid this for this service of offering that. And make sure that the client is aware of that, and make sure you're legally entitled to accept a fee in that area. So once we have decided that what a strategic partnership is, and then we've decided the fears that we have as accountants about creating these relationships. So we've identified two of the fears, and the third fear is we don't have time to do this, and we don't have time to work on this with a client because we can't get our own work done on the other side of that. That is a massive fear that we have as well. So how do we get over that fear? Is we need to understand our relationship with the client. And as we're talking about advisor service the whole time here, we need to understand where we sit with our client and what service we want to offer our client. Okay, so the next thing we're going to discuss is identifying and evaluating potential partners and what types of professionals to consider. So we need to walk through the different professionals that we commonly work with and that we commonly use. So I suppose the very first one and the most likely one is financial advisors or wealth management people. If we don't offer the wealth management in-house, who do we use for wealth management? And we're always getting asked for referrals to wealth management. And we have built a network of wealth management advisors that we use, that we have vetted and that we work through in our own firm, both in Ireland and the UK, and happy to talk to people about those. But there's wealth management, there's insurance brokers, there's IT consultants, and there's lawyers or solicitors. And those are the four main types of professional relationships that we would come across. And the other one is getting bigger now, is corporate finance and lending, and that's that side of it as well. We do our own in-house tax, but for people who don't do tax advisors are another big professional relationship to work with. So what is the criteria and what's the number one criteria for choosing these partners? For me, it always is around having shared values, similar culture, and similar relationships around the client. So it always starts with a conversation with these advisors, do some little bit of small work, see are they thinking around the same lines as you're thinking. They're not going to overwhelm the client or overwhelm the relationship. They're happy with where you sit into the relationship with the client. They're happy with the fact that you're sitting beside the client, kind of interviewing them about what needs to be done, and you're always on the side of the table with the client and they're always on the other side of the table, even though you're building out this team. So alignment with values, cultures and service goals. Really, really important. Next thing is expertise and track records. Look for partners with proven success and specializations in their field. So if you're dealing with a certain type of client in your practice and the financial advisor is not used to dealing with those clients, then you shouldn't be dealing with them because they need to have specific expertise in the particular areas. The other thing is that the services that they offer match the needs of your client. So when you know what your ideal client is, now you need to specifically understand that the services are ideally matched because they're matched to the service that your ideal clients need, depending on what industry they're in. So, what are the typical questions that you need to ask? You need to understand what's your approach to client service. They need to understand what your approach and their approach is. How does client service and what does it look like and how do you operate within your firm and how do they operate? How do they typically engage with the clients? What types of clients do they work best with? And are they open to co-branded initiatives or joint client sessions? If not, then it's not particularly suitable to the strategic partner relationship you need to build with your firm. Remember the client in all of this relationship, as we said, is the center of all that. The client needs all this information. And as the client scales and grows and gets bigger, if they're not getting it from you, they will get it somewhere else. So it is incumbent upon you as a practice owner to make sure that these services are available to your client. We're not compliance based anymore. We're compliance and advisory based. And as an advisory means in advising your clients. So making sure that your clients are aware of what's possible in their business. And so you're bringing these other relationships in so they see that you have their back. That's the biggest thing here. So then if the client is now open to this co-branded initiative or joint client sessions, then how can you actually offer that service with that person? So how do we approach and formalize partnerships? So I suppose really we start a conversation. So highlight the mutual benefit. Emphasize how collaborating can bring value to both parties. For instance, wealth management gain access to clients needing pension and investment advice while you offer a wider suite of services. Keep it client focused. That is a critical point in this. Make sure the partnership can enhance the client experience. It's the experience we're trying to enhance for the client. Create a partnership agreement. The key elements to cover the service, the scope, the boundaries, revenue sharing or referral agreements, and communication protocols. So they're the three big areas of the partnership arrangement that you need to. So service, scope and boundaries, revenue sharing or referral agreements, and communication protocols. So then once we have decided to create this partnership, how do we integrate it into the client experience? The referral process is the way we integrate this. To do this, you have to be absolutely transparent and proactive. Explain the value of the partner brings and how they complement your services. Build trust in the co-branded content that you have vetted this partner and you're comfortable with this partner can do what the client needs. So whether that's newsletters, introductions, face-to-face meetings, and offer sample cases or scenarios where you have to show this partnership can mutually benefit the client's needs. And they maintain the consistency of the client experience. So you need to ensure that the client experience is controlled by you. It's your client. So you have to control the experience. You have to lead the way. You have to sit with the client and you have to be included on the relevant information and you have to establish the check-ins with both parties to make sure that alignment is actually in place and working the way it's supposed to work, right? So a feedback loop with clients after the engagement to ensure they're satisfied with the services and that the services have been delivered in the way that was supposed to be delivered. Do you know what I mean? So you're on the discovery, the planning and the implementation or the execution phase here. You come in at the discovery and the planning, but you also need to be there for the execution stage. That is why there's a lot of time and energy goes into building the strategic partnerships. And that's why getting paid and revenue sharing is important because you put a lot of time in here. The client is the one that's benefiting. And the client has this joined up thinking. So the client is making sure that he's protected, he's covered, his wealth management, his investments are all handled throughout the personal and the business side of it and the tax planning side of it. So all of this becomes real tax smart planning. So what's the benefits and the challenges? I suppose the benefits as an increased capacity to handle diverse clients' needs. You've now added a whole other level of service that you can bring to your client portfolio. Remember, we talked about not losing clients to the bigger practices. By doing this, you'll maintain the relationship. You'll have enhanced client loyalty because they will understand what you're trying to do and they will understand this more comprehensive service offering. You will have access to new client networks via partner referrals. It shouldn't really be a one-way transaction that you're just referring clients to them, but you need to go into this understanding that it is one way. Like there should be no demand for them to give you clients. You're going to them to offer a strategic partnership. If you do your job right, that should happen, but it shouldn't be contingent upon because then it's a kind of a referral based thing and it just becomes a little bit murky in the relationship. So if you've decided a strategic partnership, that's one way traffic. So the potential challenges are consistency in service quality, ensuring data security, ensuring regulatory compliance is done properly in terms of this. So emphasize the importance of selecting partners who prioritize the client and establish all of the regulatory compliances there, but make sure the client is the priority. You're not looking for a wealth management on a transactional basis. You're looking for wealth management on an advisory basis. they need to be coming to the table, not to just, I want to sell a pension or I want to do this. That day is more or less gone anyway, but you need to understand that the client needs to understand that they're coming together in a relationship to enhance them. So you imagine a client sitting around a desk, and at that desk you have a tax advisor, you have a business advisor, you have a corporate finance person, you're the accountant, and you have a legal team. So you have all these professionals sitting around trying to help them on their journey. Now that's powerful. That's really, really, really powerful. And the client will see that as being really, really, really powerful. So in terms of that, that just gives you an understanding, and it's a short look into strategic partnerships. But I suppose really what I want to address is, how do I handle it if a client isn't comfortable with the partner? Reassure the client by explaining the partnership benefits and offer, to be present in the meetings. Like, you need to be, especially with the initial meeting, you absolutely have to be there. And you have to make sure the client is comfortable. If not, you don't use that strategic partner for this piece of work if the client is just not comfortable. But as the client sees you sitting on their side of the table, they will become, and you're kind of leading the meeting because you know what the client wants in terms of just the discovery process at least. So what we're saying to you then is that, it is not a one and done. So really make sure that it's not a one and done. So I suppose I just want to sign off by saying, you should have a clear understanding how strategic partnerships can enhance your advisory practice. We've given a few practical tips on finding, approaching, and setting up how to manage these partners effectively. But please reach out, because we have a number of partners that we have built, and we can introduce you to this network of experts that we've built in all areas. So we have a full suite of network experts available. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you on the next episode.